I provided pictures.
Hmm.
I'll get like shopping. Yeah. I should have. See how good it is. Yeah.
Okay, it's 5:30. I think we'll get started. Welcome, everyone, to the regular city council meeting of July 11th, 2022. Welcome, everybody, to the regular city council meeting of July 11th, 2022. I'd like to ask the city clerk to please call the roll.
Present.
Aloha. Present. Present.
Present.
Present. Item 3, I would like to lead everyone in the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We did get a memo, a late one, regarding amending the language on 10D, but we don't have to amend the agenda for that, do we? Okay, I'll entertain a motion to approve the agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I'll move to approve the agenda.
I'll second it.
It's been moved by Counselor Long and seconded by Counselor Randall to approve the agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Item 5, presentations. We have an award of valor again for one of our police officers, for Officer Reams, and I'd like to ask Chief Tom Worthy and Officer Reams to come forward.
Yes. Mr. Mayor, members of the council, members of the public, I'd like to introduce you to Canyon Reams, a new police officer here with the City of the Dallas Police Department. And as a part of my job, probably the very finest part of my job is to recognize the good, hard work of the members of our department. And in this case, we're here to recognize Officer Reams' efforts from June 13th. I'm going to read a letter that outlines what happened. And you'll note that Officer Reams is very new with the department. And whether you are 30 years on or 3 weeks on, valor is valor. And he demonstrated that in this circumstance, and he's here to be recognized for that. So please listen with me as I read this letter. Canyon. On June 15th, 2022, about 6:30 p.m., Officer Reams with his field training officer, Perez, responded to a report of a swimmer in distress in the Columbia River near the ferry dock. The Columbia River was extremely high due to continual rains. And there are areas of flooding in the city. The water temperature was 56 degrees in the river. Upon their arrival, Officer Reams and Perez located the swimmer who was stuck in the river with her foot caught in the rocks on the bottom. The swimmer was nearing exhaustion from her continued exposure to the swift, cold water. Officers were joined by Mid-Columbia Fire and Rescue personnel. The swimmer advised that she'd been caught in the river for over 30 minutes and that she'd made the emergency call from her Apple Watch. The swimmer was showing signs of hypothermia. Her voice was raspy and broken, and she was in obvious distress. Fire personnel attempted to provide a ladder to the swimmer and to pry apart the rocks in which her foot was stuck from the shore. These attempts were unsuccessful, and the swimmer's condition continued to deteriorate. Officer Reams assessed the scene and determined that the rescue of the swimmer needed to be immediate, and that this would be able, and that he would be able to aid in the rescue only by entering the water to feel how the entrapment was occurring, since the water was too murky and fast to allow any visual inspection from above. Officer Reams left his ballistic vest and duty belt on the shore and carefully entered the water downstream of the swimmer. Officer Reams reached under the water and was just able to reach the swimmer's foot, and only Officer Reams' head was not submerged. Officer Reams was able to free the swimmer's stuck foot and bring her to the shore and to the care of the firefighters. Officer Reams is receiving this award for valor based on his meritorious actions taken on June 15th, 2022. If it were not for the quick efforts of Officer Reams, the swimmer's suffering would have been prolonged and the outcome potentially far worse. Officer Reams, thank you for your service. A plaque for you.
Officer? Yeah, I noticed the chief said whether you've been with the department 30 years or 3 weeks, it's something to be proud of. Have you in fact been with us only 3 weeks? Wow, that's incredible. Nice going. Yeah. Yep. Okay. Item 6 is audience participation. During this portion of the meeting, anyone may speak on any subject which does not later appear on the agenda. Up to 5 minutes per person will be allowed. Citizens are encouraged to ask questions with the understanding that the city can either answer the question tonight or refer that question to the appropriate staff member who will get back to you within a reasonable amount of time. If a response by the city is requested, the speaker will be referred to the city manager for further action. The issue may appear on a future meeting agenda for city council consideration. Is there anyone in the audience who would like to address the city council on any subject which is not on the agenda for up to 5 minutes? Anybody? Last call. Okay, thank you very much. Item 7, city manager's report. Mr. Cleaves.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I just have a few items for you this evening. I wanted to let the council know that the community outreach team has tentatively planned their trip to DC, either the week of September 12th or the week of September 19th. The week of September 12th, we have a council meeting, so I'll be pushing for the week of 19th, but we try and coordinate schedules with several of our partners. Councilor Richardson and I have both expressed an interest in attending, and so we will move forward with that unless there are any questions. At a prior meeting, there was a comment made at one point about the city council goal setting session or work session being held in February. And I wanted to let the council know that I intended to work to move that up closer to the month of October or November to better align with the budget process that we have and facilitate that session a bit earlier in the year. We received the structural analysis on the Getchell Building report, and we have that under review, and we'll be bringing that before you soon, along with the underground utility feasibility study. We have that under review with city staff, as well as with our partners at Wasco County, North Wasco County PUD. I also wanted to let you know, last week, I believe it was, I sent an email, but we do have an upcoming planning department transition with the departure of our community development director, Alice Cannon. She will be taking a part-time position at Wasco County that better aligns with her needs and family needs. And we'll be working with her and planning department staff through that transition to man the planning department, as well as keep urban renewal projects and programs moving forward to the best of our ability. And with that, I can answer any other questions that you may have, but that is my report.
Any questions for Mr. Cleaves? Is the report on the Getchell building going to be consistent with the direction from the council of, what was that, 6 months ago or something like that?
So I have not made it through the report myself, so I can answer that question after I've fully read it, to be frank.
Okay, thank you. Any other questions? Okay, we'll go city council reports. We'll start with Councilor Runyon.
Not a whole lot. Independence Day activities and so forth here in the community were well done. This weekend, though, to kind of continue through the Independence Day week, I spent 2 days with a group called Tribute to Fallen Heroes, visiting with Gold Star families. I traveled with them from Eugene to Albany, Lebanon, and then to Redmond, and they continued on their way to DC, where they will arrive August 7th, 30 days. But the families that I visited with were all Oregon families who had lost a loved one in one conflict or another, not necessarily recent. Some were, and some were years ago. Anyway, that's my report.
Thank you. Councilor Richardson.
Thank you, Mayor Mace. I've had a couple of constituent conversations in the last couple of weeks on miscellaneous things. Have participated in the Chamber's government affairs, including last Thursday, where our illustrious city manager presented to that group. participated in a couple of little cleanup projects in the community in the last couple of weeks. And on Friday, participated or attended the Climate Resilience Task Force, the city county task force, and was also elected chairman of that body. And that's my report.
Thank you. Counselor Randall,
Nothing to report. Thank you.
Counselor Long,
The only thing I have to report for city council business is that I met with the city manager this morning, and that's all that's happened in the last 2 weeks.
Counselor McLaughlin,
Well, I recently visited the St. Vincent's Hope Center and community meals and noticed a large van parked next to the entrance. I identified myself and the nurse practitioner invited me to tour the bus. One Community Health received funding to purchase the mobile unit, and medical attention for those in need are being met. Kudos to One Community Health and to Mitty Tigman, nurse practitioner, and his staff. Thank you very much for their work. And that's it.
thank you. As far as my report, on June the 30th, I attended a Red Cross briefing on the wildfire situation and their plans. And on July 4th, I had the honor of judging parade floats and gave first prize to McDonald's. So that was really nice. Okay. Item 9 is consent agenda. Items of a routine and non-controversial nature are placed on the consent agenda to allow the city council to spend its time and energy on the important items and issues. Any counselor may request that an item be pulled from the consent agenda and be considered separately. Items pulled from the consent agenda will be placed on the agenda at the end of the action items section. We have 2 items on the consent agenda. One is the approval of the June 27th City Council meeting minutes. And the second is the authorization to surplus 3 police department vehicles. Is there a motion to approve the consent agenda or to adopt or approve the consent agenda?
I'll move to approve the consent agenda.
And I'll second McLaughlin.
It's been moved by Counselor Richardson and seconded by Counselor McLaughlin to approve the consent agenda. Is there any discussion? All those in favor, please say aye. Opposed? Motion carries. Item 10A, authorization to purchase a new sign truck in Public Works. And we have with us our Director of Public Works, Dave Anderson. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you, Honorable Mayor, members of council. Got to get my report open here. In the current budget, we had provided funding for the purchase of a used dump truck. And since the preparation and adoption of that budget, it's become apparent that those funds would be better used to replace the 2005 Ford F-350 that the Transportation Division uses as its sign truck. This is a truck that is 17 years old, but it has had a long history of mechanical problems, which is consistent with the reputation of the engine that this truck has. It has a Ford 6-liter engine, and they're rather notorious for repeated and continuous maintenance and repair problems. Staff proposes to purchase a new 2002 Dodge 5500 4x4 truck, which is consistent with the trucks that we've been purchasing in recent years for that division. This one, however, would be equipped with a 12-foot flatbed. This is the truck that we load up with all the signs and the barricades and things to move around town for parades and traffic control events. We got quotes from both the local dealer and compared them to the state bid. The state bid through Ron Tonkin Dodge was the lowest bid received. We have in the budget $75,000 in Fund 9. That was for the 5-yard purchase of a 5-yard dump truck. The purchase price for this pickup would be $69,975.53 plus license fees. So we have adequate funds available for this purchase. And with that, it's staff's recommendation that the council move to authorize the purchase of a new 2022 Dodge Ram 5500 4x4 flatbed pickup from Ron Tonkin Dodge in an amount not to exceed $69,975.53 plus license fees.
Any questions for Mr. Anderson? If not, would anybody like to make a motion?
Oh, yeah. See if I can do a better one of this one. Move to authorize the purchase of a new 2022 Dodge Ram 5500 4x4 flatbed pickup from Ron Tonkin Dodge in an amount not to exceed $69,975.53 plus license fees.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Counselor McLaughlin and seconded by Counselor Richardson to authorize the purchase of the piece of equipment as described. Is there any discussion, any more discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Moving on to 10B. Mr. Anderson.
Thank you. This item is the authorization for a purchase of a new CAT 303.5 compact excavator. This item is included in the budget and was anticipated to occur this year and is to be purchased to replace two of our older Kubota mini excavators, one that's 20 years old and another one that's 24 years old. We use these compact excavators frequently for work on sanitary sewer and stormwater systems and services to properties, catch basin installation and repairs of sidewalks. So the sharing between the two divisions is appropriate. We selected Caterpillar as a preferred manufacturer because we have a lot of CAT equipment and our operators are familiar with them. We have a local CAT dealer, so which facilitates repair and warranty services. Our public works mechanics are familiar with the CAT equipment, and we have the software and the diagnostic systems appropriate to the Caterpillar equipment. And Caterpillar provides a better warranty than we find with most of the other manufacturers, that being a 5-year, 2,500 hour warranty rather than the standard 1 or 2 year warranties that others provide. And lastly, Caterpillar is available through Sourcewell, which is a procurement system that the city's been using successfully in recent years to save quite a bit of money on a number of our purchases. The purchase through Sourcewell fulfills the city's competitive bidding requirements. The cost savings on this unit through Sourcewell would be 20% or a cost reduction of $17,664. The purchase price for this CAT 303.5 would be $71,062.08. Within the budget, we had included $66,000 for the purchase. So we are a little $5,062 short on what was budgeted. That's because since we prepared the budget, there's been 2 price increases enacted by Caterpillar. A third one's been announced. With the placement of this order, will beat the 3rd price increase. And then within the budget, we do have $65,000 that was allocated for the purchase of a new watershed patrol pickup. Since we prepared the budget back in January and February, that purchase of the watershed patrol pickup was actually completed last year. So those funds are allocated this year and not needed anywhere else. So we can use a portion of that $65,000 to make up the additional $5,000 needed to complete this purchase. And with that, there's adequate funds available for the purchase. Staff recommends that City Council move to authorize the purchase of a new CAT 303.5 compact excavator from Peterson CAT through a Sourcewell pricing agreement in an amount not to exceed $71,062.08.
Any
And I provided
questions?
I provided the picture this time.
Any questions for Mr. Anderson?
No.
The picture is a nice touch.
Yeah.
Looking for a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to authorize the purchase of a new CAT 303.5 compact excavator from Peterson CAT through a Sourcewell pricing agreement in an amount not to exceed $71,062.08.
Second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Council Randall and seconded by Councilor Long to approve the purchase of the compact excavator. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Thank you very much. Item 10C, another piece of equipment for Public Works, a backhoe loader. Mr. Anderson.
You. Another item that is included in the current budget is the purchase of a new backhoe loader, which again is anticipated to replace 2 of our existing older units. One a backhoe loader that's 33 years old and the other one that's 35 years old. Again, for the same reasons mentioned in the previous report, Caterpillar was the selected manufacturer. Proposed to purchase through the Sourcewell procurement system. This time, the use of Sourcewell results in a 22% cost savings, which equals $44,644 in savings over a purchase outside of Sourcewell. The purchase price of the new backhoe loader would be $170,314.13. We budgeted $162,000, and this one had also experienced 2 price increases since we prepared the budget, and we are again ahead of the third announced price increase by moving with a purchase at this time. As previously mentioned, we have the $65,000 for the watershed patrol pickup. That isn't going to be needed, so a portion of those funds can make up the additional $8,314 that are needed to complete this purchase. And with that, there are adequate funds available to accommodate the purchase. With that, staff recommends the city council move to authorize the purchase of a new CAT 430 backhoe loader from Peterson Cat through Sourcewell pricing agreement in an amount not to exceed $170,314.13.
Thank you. Any questions for Mr. Anderson? I have one. I also have a comment. How many people do we have in the Public Works that can operate these 2 pieces of equipment?
Oh, geez. So both of these are pieces of equipment that are used frequently by all 3 of our divisions: water distribution, wastewater collection, and street. Now, we've identified the primary users of the compact excavator would be transportation and wastewater, and that totals about 15 employees. And this loader will be actually used by all 3 divisions. So that we're up to about 22, 23 employees.
Wow, great. But it's nice that we were able to save over $300,000 out of this fund. So my compliments to you and our finance director for managing our funds appropriately to be able to afford to buy these.
Thank you.
So it's also nice we're doing these last 2 purchases with a local dealer. Great.
That's our preference when we can, or we don't have the latitude to do anything other than low bid with
Right.
our contract review board. So it's nice when it works out.
Great. Okay, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion.
Council Law?
I'll move to authorize the purchase of a new CAT 430 backhoe loader from Peterson Cat through a Sourcewell pricing agreement in an amount not to exceed $170,314.13.
Is there a second?
Yes, I'll second.
It's been moved by Counselor Long and seconded by Counselor McLaughlin to approve the purchase of the backhoe loader. Is there any discussion? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. And finally, we have a consideration of a approval of the mobile computers and docks for the police department. Chief Worthy.
Mr. Mayor, members of the council, I'm Tom Worthy. I'm the Chief of Police in the City of the Dalles. I come before you today to ask permission to execute a contract for a refresh of our mobile computer terminals, also known as mobile data terminals, which reside in our patrol cars. The police department leases mobile computers for officers' use in the execution of their duties in the field, and the current lease expires this month. The police department computers have reached the end of their useful life, and they require replacement. The department's plan for this necessary equipment refresh, and the budget exists to support this new leasing contract. I wish I was buying a backhoe. It would be much easier than this, but we have exercised this lease. The department planned for $140,000 over 5 years, or about $28,000 a year to afford this lease. The department hopes to lease through a cooperative procurement arrangement called the National Cooperative Purchasing Alliance, which is a government purchasing cooperative, ensuring lease price for this contract. City attorney confirms that this cooperative procurement satisfies the requirements of the city's local contract review board rules and allows the department to efficiently and cost effectively enter into a lease contract with Harbor Tech Mobility Incorporated. Harbor Tech is our current technology provider for this application, and we are satisfied with both their products and their service. We will not need a formal solicitation for bids due to the cooperative policing agreement. The department secured a firm quote for the vendor to lease for lease and warranty. We're talking about 26 units, one's assigned to each officer at a lease rate of about $2,456 over 60 months. And there are some financing fees involved since a financer carries the loan between us and the vendor. Related to this, but not directly, but ancillary to this is the need to replace the computer docks, which I bring before you for transparency. It's a separate purchase, but it is about $12,000, slightly less. The new computers require these new docks because they're not backwards compatible for our existing docks, which are owned by the department, and therefore require new ones. The docks are essentially the plate that the computers snap into in the patrol car. They ensure connectivity, stability, and power to the unit while they're in the field. That purchase will be $11,896.71. So sufficient funds have been allocated to support both of these purchases, and staff is asking for the city council to approve a contract between the city manager and Harbor Tech to lease 26 computers for the police department for a term of 60 months in an amount not to exceed $126,982.96. That is all.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions for the chief?
Mr. Mayor?
Yes. Oh, yeah, I just want to remind everyone that there's a suggested motion language, but yes, go ahead. I'm sorry.
That's exactly right. We ran into some last minute, as Tom mentioned, financing issues with some of the hidden fees. And so when we submitted this agenda staff report to the city clerk, between that time and the time that we are here today, there was some, that's when we discovered that discrepancy. And so the revised motion language is available to everybody here, which reflects a slightly higher amount. I think the difference is about $2,000.
Thank you, Mr. Kara.
Yeah.
Any other questions for Mr. Kara, the chief?
I have one, Mr. Mayor.
Counselor Richardson?
Thank you, Chief. Just for my clarity, we pay this monthly or yearly, but we're committed to 5 years
That's
at
right.
least, correct? So we'll need to budget every year and.
Yes, sir.
Sorry.
Any other questions for the chief?
Okay. Yeah, I have a quick one.
Counselor McLaughlin?
Explain how the mobile computers are vital to the officers as they use those for all data communication. So that's the reason why it's important that we.
Yes, sir. I can easily explain that. It's a best practice of modern policing to have situational command and control, as well as information at the fingertip of the officer in the car. Our mobile data terminals are used for exchanging information, warrant information, protective order information, stolen vehicle information. Comes to us through assignment through a computer program called CAD, or computer aided dispatch. It lets the officers know what's happening around them, map them, route them to calls, as well as receive that information, including witness statements that were given to dispatch, or caller information, reporting party, potential victim information, and it persists there in the call so they can look at it while they're trying to make enforcement decisions in the field. I don't know of any police department, modern police department, that's running without mobile data terminals now.
Which it makes it vital for the officer for safety and for his protection and the community
Absolutely.
with the information.
The more the officer knows in the moment at the field, the better decisions they can make, both for enforcement and safety, and really resource allocation as well. So the dispatcher can see who's available, who's on a call, who's at the office, and who's closest.
Excellent. Thank you.
Any other questions for the chief? Entertaining a motion.
I can go ahead and I will do the amended motion. Move to authorize the city manager to execute a contract with Harbor Tech Mobility Incorporated to lease 26 computers for the police department over a term of 60 months and in an amount not to exceed $129,007.58.
Is there a second?
I'll second that.
It's been moved by Counselor McLaughlin and seconded by Counselor Randall to approve the purchase of the 26 computers for the police department. Is there any more discussion or questions? All those in favor of the motion, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Thank you very much. Is there any other business to come before the city council? Otherwise, we've set what I think is a Mayor Mays record for 31 minutes.
Mark it down.
So anything else, anybody? With that, I'll adjourn the meeting. Thank you all for attending.
Make a meeting.